Hi, this is a tutorial of how to get started with left-handed crochet. So if you are someone who predominantly uses their left hand, this is for you. First of all, you need to make sure that your hook is in your left hand and that the yarn is in the right hand, and we'll go through where to put those in a moment. We're going to start with a slip knot. So with our yarn in our right hand, we wrap the yarn around so it crosses in the middle, and then just pull that from the back to the front, and if you pull, you should have a nice slip knot. That once you put your hook in it, you can pull it to be a nice starting loop size. So we're going to start off today just with a single crochet, which is the US terms, or double crochet in the UK terms. So making sure that we have the tail end of the yarn, we keep hold of that there for now, but we're going to make sure that we've got this yarn that's attached to the ball in our right hand. Now I wrap it round a few times just to try and get some tension in there. It's up to you how you hold it. Ideally though, you will have this coming off here, because that is the best way really to pick up the yarn, and it'll make it easier when you're using your hook with your left hand. It'll make it a lot easier if this yarn is above the hook there. So I'm going to start off. So we've got the hook in our left hand, the yarn in our right. We're going to take the yarn over the top to the front, so from the back over the top to the front, and we're going to pull it through that loop. This is a starting chain with our hook. So can you see that with my right hand I am holding the work that's coming off, and I'm keeping, you'll notice I'll keep my hand nice and close to the hook. I'll keep these fingers. I use my middle finger and my thumb to anchor that work. So again, we go from the back over the top to the bottom and then pull that through, keeping tight grip. Well, not too tight a grip, but making sure that we stay quite close to the hook. The further down you hold, the harder it is. Once again, starting from the back, we go up and round the top and through the chain, up, round, and then we pull that through. So that process of putting the yarn over the hook is called a yarn over. So we yarn over from the back, over the top and down, and pulling that through. And you'll notice, like all the time, that my right hand stays right underneath the hook there. My left hand is really only at the moment manipulating the hook. I'm not holding any yarn or touching anything with my left hand other than the hook. I'm pulling it through there. There we go. So we've got some chains there to start. So now we're going to just move on and do single crochets, which is the US term, double crochets, which is the UK term. So we start with from the second, we're going to work back along this chain now. So you start from the left over to the right, and you're going to work along it. You don't go into this very first chain here, because that would mean you start to unravel. So we're going to go from this second chain from the hook. So we put our hook in, making sure that we've just got one loop on there from the stitch. So we've got two in total. We yarn over, remembering if we've got this up here, we can just put that yarn over the top, hook it through and pull through. Now we've got two loops. That's the first part of the stitch done. The second part is to yarn over again, and remember, from the back to the front, and pull it through both loops. And again, put your hook in the next chain along, yarn over and pull it through. To finish that stitch off, we yarn over and pull through both loops. And again, in there, yarning over from the back to the front, pulling that through just the one, and then yarning over and pulling it through two. And you see we're working along our chain here. So we'll get to the end and then I'll do a turn with you. Yarning over, So how I do it, which is something that you may end up being able to do as you get to grips with it, is I use my hook. Rather than moving this bit, I move my hook and I pick up that yarn, because I always have this yarn here. I make sure that I keep my fingers in that position. I use my hook to pick it up like that. So I'm using my left hand to be able to do that. Yarn over, pull through. There we go. There we go. Yarn over, pull through. And then this is the final one of our little chain that we've been doing. Okay, so there we have it. Now, in order to carry on now, so your foundation chain, working into that foundation chain is always a little bit different. It's a bit trickier. You're only going through that very top loop of the chain. This time now, when we turn and we work back along, it's slightly different. So I'll show you what to do. So we're going to start first of all with a turning chain, which is literally yarning over and just pulling it through, and that gives us that little, and then we turn. And we're going to now work back along from left to right. So there was our chain. So our first stitch is here. Now if you turn your work towards you a little bit, you should be able to see a lot of these horizontal V's. We need to make sure that we pick up both of those like bars of that stitch there. Okay, so that whole loop there. So we've put our hook into there, we yarn over. Again, you can see that I'm using my hook there rather than moving the yarn, pulling it through. That's the first part of the stitch done, and then yarn over. There's the second part. Okay, into the next, making sure I've got both of those loops on there. Yarn over, pulling it through, yarn over and pull through both loops, and again yarn over, pull through both loops. The way that I've got my yarn hooked around my fingers through my hand, it helps me to keep tension, so I don't have to keep stopping to pull the yarn along. What you will see is with my left hand, sometimes I do keep hold of this stitch with my finger on there, and it just stops, it just anchors it a little bit and makes it a little bit easier to get my hook and my yarn in the right place. Stops it from sliding around. It also just, I think when you've got a bit of an anchor, and it's not sort of all just loose and flopping around, it means that you can work quicker as well. So all the time you've noticed that my hands on my right hand are still always just underneath my hook, holding this work that comes off the hook. That's really important. If I didn't do that, I can't do anything. I can't hold it. I can't put anything in. So it's really important, and the higher up that you keep them to the hook, the better. So there is one little stitch left here, which is always a tricky one on the end to get. So there's the front part of it. There we go. Sometimes it's oh, missed that bit. Sometimes a bit trickier to get these end ones because they sort of turn a corner a little bit. There we go. I yarn over. There we go. And there we have it. That's how to get started with some left-handed crochet.